People get confused about what it is that I do and what I teach. They think that I teach violence, but it's not the case.
That's not what martial arts says.
See, violence for violence sake is wrong, in my opinion. I'm personally a man of peace. I personally prefer peace. And the reason why people get confused because they see the punching and kicking, they see the throwing and grappling, they see sort of the macho aggressiveness that sometimes comes out. But they don't realize that it's all a means to an end. It's all a means to peace. Sometimes aggressiveness and violence can be the most compassionate thing a person can do. Sometimes it leads to compassion. It leads to the person getting on the righteous path. But for the most part, peace. I mean, we are all spirits occupying a human spacesuit. We might not even say the word spirit, maybe you'll say the word soul, or maybe you say just part of the universe, or maybe you don't have any idea what we are, but you can admit that we're not just this body. How can we be just this body? Imagine the movie with has the little characters occupying the
Inside Out.
Inside Out. That's the movie.
Okay, yeah, this is just a guess.
Inside Out. Great movie. It's got a lot of messages in it that's worth looking into.
Mm-hmm.
Where these emotions, where this higher self, this intellect, and yet we're more. We're more. What if we were one with the scheme of totality? What if we were the universe? Have I told you guys the story of the wave? No?
I mean, I'm new, so I haven't heard it.
You haven't heard it, so I'll tell you
You
the
guys
story.
haven't heard any of that.
Where's Matt?
I'm sure.
You don't really.
Imagine yourself being a wave,
Oh.
and you are a big flippin' wave. You're the biggest wave in the ocean, or at least so you think. Here you are going along, you're this huge wave, getting bigger and bigger as you go. You see all your little other friends around you. They're nice, but they're not as big as you are. They're certainly not as immaculate as you are. They're not as incredible and amazing and beautiful as you are. As powerful, as vast as you are. But you see them anyway, so you tolerate them. They're going along with you. They're going along with you, and you're getting bigger and bigger. They're getting a little bigger too, but certainly not as big as you. You're the most beautiful wave in the ocean. As you go along and go along, all of a sudden you start seeing your friends crash and die on the shoreline. Died. Vanished into thin air. This starts to worry you. What? Well, they're dying. No, not me. Certainly not me. When I get to the shoreline, I'm going to engulf the shoreline. And the wave is going to keep going. I'm the biggest, baddest wave there is. Slowly, more and more waves crashing, dying, crashing, dying, crashing, dying. Your closest friends crashing, dying, as you get ready to crash and die yourself. Enlightenment is, for the wave, is when he realizes he was never the wave in the first place. He is the ocean. So perhaps it's similar with us. Our little wave friends, his little wave friends, was nothing more but a part of him. And he was nothing more but a part of them. And we are nothing more than a part of each other. A part of the scheme of totality. As insignificant as we are also very important, because we are a part of this. And we are a part of that. We are a part of everything. How can we not be? One movement from one of us affects so many things around us. It affects so many people, so many things. Imagine just buying a Subway sandwich. How many people did it take before you got that sandwich? And how many people are you helping keep employed? It's not just the Subway workers. What about the farm that has the vegetables?
And the meats too.
And the meats? What about the paper plant who needs to make the sandwich paper packaging? What about the plastic company that wraps, that they put it in the bag? What about the mayonnaise company, the mustard company, the spices, the special sauces? What about the spice company itself? What about the soda company, the sugar company, the syrup making company, the candy making company, the candy employees? But potato chips, the potato chip making company, the bag making company, the printing company that prints all the bags and the papers. You are the wave. And you may be the biggest wave, but all of the other waves are you too. And you are them. We are interconnected and supporting one another. When we're angry at each other, we're sort of angry at ourselves, in a way. How could it not be? You are an expression. Let's say, for example, this light in here comes from the power company, the source of all power. I turn on the light and hit the switch, it becomes the light. I turn on my computer, and my computer, with a drum beat, turns on. I turn on my record player, the Beatles come out, or Led Zeppelin, or Black Sabbath, whatever.
Good choices.
Thank you. I turn on the vacuum cleaner comes on. But is there a difference in the power company? Or is it just a different expression of the same electrical source? Think about it. We are one. You are nothing more than an expression of the same source. We are one. Now you may think that sounds kind of Jedi-like, you know, the whole Force and everything. Become one with the Force. It's true. That movie is sort of based on a little bit of truth. Fantasy, but truth. We are part of the Force. We are one. We are that electrical source in a human spacesuit. We are being expressed. Our own unique expression, of course. In that sense, we're very, very important. In another sense, we're not very important because we are a part of the one source. But at the same time, we're extremely important because we are the one source. Very fascinating subject to think about. So when we're upset, we're angry. Why? I go back to my old saying, why so serious? Why so serious? We're so ticked off and upset at somebody because why? Because they said something or they expressed something. But really, honestly, they expressed your own feelings. And maybe in a different way. Maybe about someone else. Maybe about yourself. But it's still, you have the same feelings towards something else. You're also that expression. It's hard to be angry at someone when you are in the understanding, when you have the understanding that we are one. When I had my moment of awakening back in 1999, I knew, that's what I knew. it became self-evident that there was no disconnection between us. You ever been across the mall, the other side of the mall, and someone's looking at you from all the way across the other side of the mall, and on yours, like, spidey sense starts tingling?
It's called the Red Cliffs.
Right, Cliffs
The
Mall.
hallway.
The hallway.
Yeah, it's basically all.
You ever been in the hall? I said hall, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
So, how does that happen? Phenomenon that you can't explain? Or could it be that you're actually very connected to every human being? Whether or not they're upsetting you or not upsetting you. You see, people get confused about what I do. They think it's violence. It's not violence, it's connection. It's expression. It's an art form. So when I say,
It's called martial art for a reason.
for a reason.
Martial art.
So when I say, look, what we're gonna do if you can't control yourself is you're gonna fight it out. Do I mean that you're going to fight it out? Or do I mean that you're going to fight it out with what?
Yourself?
Correct. Where's the ring?
In your mind.
The greatest battle that you're ever going to face is the one that exists between your own two ears as you're learning how to be the proper expression of the source. As you're learning how to filter the source through your own lens. But it's the same source. It's the same thing. How many of you believe in God? A God, the God. Yeah. So was what I'm saying, does it resonate?
On a certain level, yes.
How could we not be? How could you not be the chip off the old block? In the Bible it says God made you out of his own image. Perhaps you are nothing more than an expression. I like to think of it almost like a song. How about this? A songwriter writes a song. What part of that song is no longer the songwriter? Decades go by. What part of that song is no longer the songwriter? It is always the songwriter. There's no Beatles song that's ever been written that's not forever going to be an expression of the creators of that song. It is forever. You are forever that expression. So when you mistakenly think that I'm talking about violence, you didn't understand the point. I am not violent. I'm a man of peace. I like to joke and say I'm a hippie. Well, my kids say, no, I'm not a hippie. Yes?
I have a question. So can you both be a man of peace, but if you're like, can you be a man of peace even if you defend yourself with like techniques?
Defending is the key. See, sometimes violence is...
If I don't throw the first punch and someone throws a punch at me and I disarm them with the technique you taught me,
Yes,
I'm
that's
still a man
okay.
of peace, correct?
Still a man of peace.
Okay.
You see, like I said, sometimes violence is the most compassionate thing a person can do, to put another person on the path to righteousness. But it's only in those moments when it's not about anger, right? You can put a person on the path of righteousness through violence, but not through anger. If you do it through anger, then you're just misguided. You're misguided. See, a true warrior, a samurai, would not allow emotions to enter into the equation. He would let righteousness, justice, truth, clarity, that's what comes into the equation. Clarity. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do I spar? Of course. Do we train? Of course. But your biggest opponent is always yourself. Always has been, always will be yourself. It's not other people. Because other people is simply just another expression of the same source. So what's there to be angry about? Why so serious? And when I joke, it's not like we're going to get out of this thing alive anyway. It's like the wave. The wave is going to hit the shore. But it's okay. Because he is the ocean. Always has been. Always will be. Even if the ocean is taken out of in a cup of water, is it any less the ocean? It's still ocean. Ocean water. You, I, and everyone around you and everything is one. We're only separated by our bodies or spacesuits that we ride on this earth plane. That's what Ernest Holmes says. We don't know how it is that it is invisible. Energy causes the sap and flow up in a tree, or how it is that chickens come out of an egg. We may only watch the process. No biologist knows what life is. No psychologist knows what the mind is. No philosopher knows what reality is. And no theologian really knows what God is. Yet, put together all of these things, and that is what is meant when the word life is used. I've said that quote to you guys before. To me, it's impactful. But I and you know that we are expressions, like a song. We are a song. Isn't that beautiful? We are a song. And I guess you could choose what kind of song you want to be. You are a song. What do you guys think about this? Right?
It's definitely changed my perspective because I will admit, when I was first taught in class, I thought it was about fighting, and now I'm kind of like, I'm like, wow, well, I was looking at this the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I'm glad this lesson was told today because probably could have led me down a path that wasn't good. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that it changed my perspective.
I mean, warriorship, if you just learn how to fight, you become nothing more than a thug. We've seen that in MMA a lot of times, these guys that don't study the philosophy and they just study the fighting for fighting's sake. And that's violence for violence sake. It's not violence for the sake of becoming better, testing yourself. No, it's more of a violence for the sake of ego. And that is certainly not the way to go. Violence for the sake of ego can lead to destruction. And you see that with professional athletes a lot, especially fighters. But those that have a higher purpose. Let's take the fighter named Georges St. Pierre. He's a true martial artist, and he is an amazing person. Had a wonderful opportunity to meet him, and he was just so genuine and such a gracious, amazing human being. Never does drugs. He's always training, working out, helping people, teaching. And he was a world champion, But then you take a guy who is all about the money, all about the ego, all about the fame.
Conor McGregor.
Maybe Conor McGregor. Maybe Sugar Shane Mosley, whatever his name is. Who knows? A variety of different martial artists that appear to be just in it for the ego and for the win. And then there's those that appear to have the motive of self-improvement. I'm personally in this for the self-improvement. It changed my life. It saved my life. Martial arts saved my life. It's not because I can beat up people. It's because I don't have to beat up people. It's because I found myself, my authentic self. And that is more impactful than anything else. Who cares if you can beat up somebody else? It's like, okay, I can beat up somebody. So what? That doesn't have a lot of validity. I can control myself. Whoa. Now that's something that's hard to do. I know who I am authentically. Wow. That is what's actually impressive. Not the fact that I can hurt somebody. I mean, really, anybody can hurt anybody. Just get a baseball bat and sneak up behind them and club them in the back of the head. You can hurt anybody that way. It doesn't take any special skills. Doesn't take any special talent, no wisdom, no higher enlightenment, no higher consciousness needed for such a thing. And a human being's ultimate goal lies within our own consciousness. It's a journey through that inner space. The journey that turns inward. The adventure that turns inward. That's where the true happiness is. That's where the self-love comes in. That's where the peace comes in. The way of the peaceful warrior. And yes, it is true. It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So training yourself is important. But not for the reasons that we think. Defending yourself is okay, but I want you to always remember the name of my school. Self-Defense Academy. The Raven Self-Defense Academy. If we needed to defend, we could do that. But ask yourself this, what are we really defending against? Ourselves, our negative beliefs, our negative ideas, our negative thoughts and desires. We're trying to change them. We're trying to become our best. Isn't this true? We're trying to be Godzilla.
He actually is a defender. He doesn't attack, I think. That's actually true.
He defends, right?
Yeah, he's territorial. If someone messes with the natural order and kaiju, that's why he's always, yeah.
Defending. I'm getting my roof fixed. So that's the banging and clunking in your ear. Hopefully no one falls to the ceiling.
Yeah,
Well, I do have mats on the floor, so.
That's like saying, Shane saying, oh yeah, when I say off of the porch, I'm gonna throw you off of the porch and put just a sponge
A sponge?
to break your fall.
So, be kind to each other. Be loving to each other. Be understanding with each other. We are human beings with this, that are all connected with each other. We can't do this by ourselves. We need each other. We need each other. So be kind. Even those who are struggling today, be kind. All right, and on that note, we'll just have a conversation in the lecture here.